I want to know about your rap days. The day that somebody said this is a serious rap for Conleth Hill and Isaac Hempstead, right? What was that like?
It was pretty mundane, to be honest. But
really?
then we did a Conan show, like an after, and I lost it completely because they did interviews with Bernie Caulfield and they showed her, who's one of our producers, and they showed her being interviewed, and I just cried.
That was your...
I had to leave. I had to go home. It was terrible.
Aww.
Yeah.
On the day I rapped, there were quite a few people who also rapped, and I didn't think I was going to cry. I just remember thinking, oh, no, this is okay, this is okay, this is not okay. And I remember I walked back from set back to base instead of getting in the car, and it was a beautiful summer's evening. So it was just a really nice way to, like, say goodbye.
Yeah. Just like... I don't know. Did either of you, were there speeches? Did you get to address the cast during your rap?
There were, David and Dan came and gave speeches about all of us, and then gave us a rap gift, which was really moving.
It was.
Yeah. Aw. Do you remember what they said? Do you want to share it?
They said I was the best.
They did?
Yeah, they said I was the best.
It's nice. It's very
so
kind.
we told Isaac that he was the best, but you're actually the best.
No, that's what they said to me.
You finished before me, so you were gone.
I'd like, on the actual rap, me and the other people who I was in the scene with, we kind of joked a bit before the final shot, like before the final shot of that scene. We were like, oh, should we like mess it up just so it goes on for a little bit longer? And then we actually messed it up because we were crying. And then we had to do it again. And then there came a point where we were like, okay, let's like get your shit together. And and then I cried again, taking my armour off. Lots of crying. But also, like, because it was, the shoot was long. And I think there was like a real bittersweet thing about ending the series where it was like, I'm ready to go home now, but also I'm just not ready to let go of what we've been doing for nearly a year.
Joe, how old were you?
Well, I thought I was going to be fine, and there were a couple of other actors finishing on the same day as me, too. And then what David and Dan had been doing is when people were finishing, they would come out, give a little speech, and present you with a cool gift. And we all got little storyboards of one of our scenes from seasons gone by. And I was fine, and then I looked across and I saw one of the other actors who's finishing try not to cry. I saw their lip quiver, and then I was toast. Like I've realised that I'm fine until I see someone else trying not to cry, and then I'm in bits. And yeah, it was. I wasn't expecting that.
It seems so long ago now, but it still seems, the emotion of it still seems quite close under the surface, if you know what I mean. It was an interesting one because I think we had sort of different experiences, because I rapped on a day where lots of other people were rapping, and that's an interesting feeling because you share the emotion of it, and there are other people there who are sad, and you kind of cling on to each other in that moment and support each other, and you're all separated at once. And of course, if you're all separated at once, it doesn't feel like a separation really, because you're then suddenly all in the same boat and all adrift together. But for Hannah and other people, you were the only person to rap that day.
Yeah, I was the only person to rap on the day that I did, which probably makes it more special, let's be honest.
Well, yeah.
No, I think it was, but like you're saying, it's this weird feeling of suddenly you're separate from everyone else, because everyone else is continuing to film other stuff without you, and you have this feeling of being slightly left behind.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's just a very, very surreal feeling, because I think as much as we knew the show had to end one day, you sort of didn't really believe it ever would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, very, very weird feeling.
It's something about when you're a part of something. This one thing, it's big that the audience love it, but the thing is that it's been big inside as well. Somehow that it's been the same crew. It's been actors who love to work with each other. David and Dan has been the perfect creators because they've just given trust and love and just to be part of something that everybody every day works so hard, do their best, and the spirit is good, and every bit of work they put in comes out on the other side twice as good. So it's that feeling, because to make films and TV, it's like reinventing the wheel all the time, and here the wheel did work.
Yeah.
And ambitions have just grown. So it's just been a fantastic journey.
Rap day for both of you. Well, tell me about your rap day and the moment they, said series rap. That moment.
Well, it was. To be fair, it was just a beautiful, for me, the perfect way to end. It was a beautiful day in Northern Ireland, great scene, and then it ended, and it was still great. And then I think I had a little allergy. There was something in my eyes, but it was great. It was actually, it wasn't a downer. It was a great moment.
Miss Christie?
I found it very emotional, but it was full of, I really love new beginnings. So the idea, something that I hadn't been able to conceive of for 7 or 8 years, was the idea of something else and something other. And the idea of that coming in made it bittersweet. And it needed that as well. But nothing prepared me for the avalanche of emotion that I felt, because it has been a large part of my life, of my working life.
It was very emotional, it's even though I only did 3 seasons, but nevertheless, Dan and David are so good at welcoming you to the family, so you feel very appreciated and you want to give everything you have,
Yeah.
And they made this tradition that when you wrapped, they would give you a present, which was like a poster from storyboarding, and they would give a little speech. And I'm not an emotional guy. I'm from Denmark. We don't show emotions, and I got kind of emotional.
Yeah, it was hard not to. It was also, there was a surrealness to it, because having been in it 8 years, you kind of got used to, even though it was always a beautiful surprise to come back.
Yeah.
You got used to it, to suddenly be standing there and like saying goodbye to all those people. It was quite something. It kind of hit me afterwards more than the actual day, I think.
Yeah, just hearing those words too. This is a series rap.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And people would gradually leave. They were like, where's that guy or her? Oh, she rapped. And we were like, oh, all right. And the show must continue.
Oof. It was like, months and months of anticipation of what it was going to be like, and it was just as awful as I thought it was going to be. It was just so sad.
I felt horrible. Sophie I didn't feel horrible on my rap day. I felt horrible on Sophie's rap day, because you were just so sad.
I mean, I was in
and everyone's looking at me because we're like best friends, and they're looking at me like, fucking help her. She's crying, and she's just like...
I was in the back of the car going back to my trailer, and I was like, in
just
your laps, like.
Did they? I mean, usually like they do a speech or something like. Sometimes they have time for speeches.
Yeah.
Was there time for any of that for either of you? And what was that like? It's such an emotional moment.
I know.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a speech. I was too But David and Dan give a speech.
Yeah, they give a little speech. I gave a little speech.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
That's so nice.
What'd you say?
Because it was like the final day. Basically said that like the industry has sometimes been really, really tricky and like really strange to sort of, for all of the cast members to get used to.
Yeah.
But the one thing that like keeps you sane is coming back to the show every year and like remembering why you're doing it and why this is your life, and like being back with the family.
That's so
it was really
sweet.
motivational, and everyone
Just
fucking
got
loved it.
goosebumps, man.
You
That's
did?
lovely, yeah.
Aw.
Love that.
Yeah, and it's just so true, and I think like that. Yeah, it's like hard to know what to say in any of those moments, really.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You'll remember them forever, though.
Yeah.
It's like for the rest of your life.
I just remember being so still. Like Arya is never still. Like nothing that she ever does is ever just like straightforward and simple and like serene and just remember my final shot just feeling like just calm.
Wow.
It was really, really strange.